Hey everybody, JJ here, back again for another Saturday of Zoom networking. And I'm, as always, really excited. We've always got great guests on our presentation, our podcast, Zoom call, whatever you want to call it. The young man we have today is out of Pace Morby Sub 2 community. And if you've been on our calls before, you've heard me talk about Pace Morby. He is the premier genius about creative finance and real estate in the country, which means in the world. And he's also an awesome guy. Pace Morby's community is the Sub 2 community, which is the premier real estate education community in the country, bar none. I don't care who you are. Today, our speaker is not Pace Morby, not yet, but we have one of his rock stars. This is a gentleman that the Lanza method is named after, my good friend, Vince Lanza. Vince, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, JJ. Thank you so much for inviting me to be with you and all of our friends here today.
Oh yeah, thank you, man. You're just you're a great guy, first and foremost, and that anyone that knows you knows that you're just, I'll just say a genius. You're so sharp on what you do, and the value you bring to Sub 2 community. I want to say thank you for everybody, because your reputation precedes you, and your respect is community wide. So thank you for everything you do.
I appreciate that.
So, Vince, for those that don't know you, where in the country are you located?
Me and my wife live in San Francisco. We lived here for quite a number of years, and I've always lived, well, I shouldn't say always, but since a young child. I was born in New Jersey, then moved to San Francisco when I was a young kid. So I've always lived here in the San Francisco Bay Area in different locations. But right now, San Francisco, right in the city.
There you go. It's beautiful over there. So growing up in San Francisco, that's a beautiful area. My uncle lived up there. Mm-hmm. I've been up there many times. Growing up as a young man in San Francisco through your teens and your 20s, high school, college, whatever it happened to be, is real estate something that you gotten into early on, or is it, or what, if you weren't into it then, what were you doing in your teens and your 20s? And were you arts or music or sports, or what was your thing? What made you you were growing up?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, no, real estate was not my thing, although I really wish it was, because, homes were so much cheaper back in those days. But my thing was really music. From the time that I was really in my early teens, and I still play music even up until today, but I mean, just really being like a full-time professional musician, kind of, the dream of that started in my early teens. And then, when I was about 17 or 18, I started playing professionally in clubs and stuff, got the opportunity to travel to, outside of the country and all around the US. So yeah, my teens and 20s was pretty much all about music, all kinds of music, all kinds of different experiences in music. Got to go to Japan, Canada, all around the US.
So I have to ask, growing up in San Francisco, did you get a chance to meet Janis Joplin?
I never did meet Janis Joplin. She was a little bit ahead of my time, but let's see, people that I knew pretty well. I mean, I played with this lady called Mary Wells. She was a star in Motown. Yeah. We did a lot of stuff with Tower of Power, because the keyboard player for our band, his brother Lenny Williams, was a lead singer for Tower of Power, super famous Bay Area group. And did a lot of other stuff. I'm trying to think of what else, but yeah, in the jazz world, played with like Freddie Hubbard, who's a famous jazz trumpeter, Joe Williams, who's a famous singer. He was actually played like one of the Cosby's grandfathers or something on the show. He's a really good jazz singer. So yeah, a few things like that.
That's awesome. So in San Francisco, you met your wife, Ann. Mm-hmm. You raised your family up there.
Mm-hmm.
At what point in time did you get into real estate? How did that take place for you?
So for us, it started with just getting involved with our family and managing and renting out a property with some of my family members that we were in together. We owned together. And they asked me to just take that over and manage it. And so we were, we all had that, and we were taking care of it. I was taking care of it, and that was a rental for us at the time. And then, to be honest, to get into it full time happened about 4 or 5 years ago. My wife, Ann, was a full-time teacher. The school that she was teaching at, which was a private school, had to close down. And we were both feeling like, hey, it's time to shift into another gear. Ann, my wife, had always been wanting to get into homes. She loved homes. She was always asking me to do things with homes. And I was like, I don't want to be a landlord. I don't want to do this. But at that point in time, we just both went to a seminar and found out about wholesaling and lease options and all these things, and got hooked. We got hooked, and we haven't turned back since. So that's I mean, before that, we had a couple of businesses, and she was a teacher, so we were still really active. But the real estate thing has been over the last 4 or 5 years that it's been like full time in real estate.
Now, I was just informed recently that the Pace Sub 2 community just hit their 3-year anniversary.
That's right.
So from starting 4 to 5 years ago, how'd you meet Pace? How'd you come across Sub 2?
So like I said, we started out by doing wholesaling. We were in another mentorship and learned about that. And, here we were in San Francisco doing wholesaling. And then in February of 2020, as probably most of whether you are from the San Francisco Bay Area or not, you probably are aware that property values here are extremely high. So we were talking to a friend of ours, Bobby Sharm is his name. He does a lot of meetups here in San Francisco. In fact, he had one just last weekend. And we were just talking. He's like, yeah, I've been investing in Fresno, which is like 3 or 4 hours south of us. He goes, great place to invest. So Ann and I were, well, let's go check it out, because house prices here are $1 million. House prices there are like a third of the price. So it just so happens, nothing really so happens, right? That Pace and Jamil, who I had never heard of or never met before, were doing a meetup there in Fresno that same week. So I was like, hey, let's just go to this meetup. And when we went to the meetup and got to hear Pace and Jamil speak for the first time, it was eye-opening. It was revolutionary. It turned my concept of doing business on its head. It turned me upside down, because they talked about everything that they talk about, which was working together and squatting up and networking and all these things. And so that was February of 2020. Well, we all know what happened in March of 2020. COVID hit. San Francisco shuts down. The whole state of California shuts down. And also our real estate business shut down, because we were doing wholesaling here in San Francisco, and you couldn't even go in to see a property, right? So, I mean, the way that we were doing that is we were like here in the city, boots on the ground for everything we're doing. So in May 2020, Pace starts the Sub 2 mentorship. I was one of the first, 10 students in there. And the rest is history. From there, it grew and grew and grew, like you said, to almost
10,000,
almost approaching 10,000 a day. So yeah. So it's all about timing, being in the right place at the right time. I will say that there was something I remember telling Ann, because we had been in another mentorship and we had spent money, and probably most of you, at one time or another right now are in that place. I will say that there was something that I said to Ann. I said, we have to do this. Like, trust me, we have to do this. And she was totally on board. She's like, yeah, let's do it. And no regrets whatsoever. That investment has probably paid itself over 100 times.
Wow.
100x on our investment, if not more,
Now, we're going to get in and talk about your topic today, which is networking like a superstar.
Yeah.
Really briefly, you're well known because your name is attached to the Lanza method, and Pace has named that method after you. Something, as I understand, he kind of started to mold it together, but then you kind of took it and just ran with it. And we're not talking about that, but could you briefly, for those that don't know what the Lanza method is, could you briefly give folks a brief overview?
Sure. Yeah, no problem. So when I first joined the mentorship, like I said, it's 50, 100 people at the very beginning. So the calls used to go virtually every day, and Pace would do a call on Wednesdays called free lead generation Wednesdays. So I like that. I like the fact that we could do something for free. I didn't have to spend money on it. And at the same time, we were learning a lot about creative finance, which wasn't familiar to us at the time. So we were learning how to take over a mortgage subject to and make the payments on behalf of the seller. We were learning how to do creative finance, seller finance deals, and a number of combinations of those things. So what essentially the Lanza method was the PACE method at the time, and he named it generously and graciously named it after me after I started doing it, was we would reach out to wholesalers who were working with sellers that were highly motivated to sell, but not highly motivated to sell at a low price. And so we all of a sudden understand that the whole concept of wholesaling is that you need to buy a house at a price that allows you to put an assignment fee on it and still be attractive to an end buyer who typically is going to fix and flip the house and make a profit. So the whole key to wholesaling is, buying those houses as is and buying them at a discount. So for those houses that don't want to do that, there is always a possibility that you can turn that into creative deals. So in a nutshell, what it was all about was networking together with wholesalers who had leads that wanted to sell, but not at a price that would work for wholesale, and then trying to convert those deals into creative deals where we could pay a higher price and work out terms with a seller. So hopefully that makes sense. We used a lot of social media to do that, to connect up with the wholesalers, doing posts in Facebook groups, etc. But essentially, at the crux of the Lanza method is using social media to connect up with wholesalers to get their dead leads, to give them a referral fee for doing that, and then using those, turning those dead leads into creative deals.
Wow, that's fantastic. And of course, that's become one of the mainstays of Step 2 now is the Lanza method.
It's one of the
people are using that all over the country.
Yeah.
And they owe that to you. So, and of course, Pace started, like you said.
Yeah, they owe it to Pace. And then, I just, it's like a relay race. I just took the baton and ran the next leg of the race, There
you go. Yeah. So, your topic today is one of my favorite topics. And I love the way you've coined it, is networking like a superstar. Yeah. You want to just sort of take off with that and run with it, and yeah. People that are on the call right now, if you guys have any questions, feel free to raise your hand. We could bring you guys on, but Vince, let's go ahead and share some of your wisdom and knowledge on that topic, and I'll probably have a question or two along the way.
Yeah, absolutely, do that. So first of all, thanks everybody for joining us today. Actually, today, what are we doing? We're networking together with each other. At a point in time, you'll ask a question. I'll get to know you. You'll get to know me. JJ asked me a couple of questions about my background, which is great. That's the way we like to do things. That's the way we like to interact with people. We don't just go straight for the jugular, right? But we like to get to know people a little bit and have that relationship. So a lot of the people, or most of the people that I work with, like even today, right? People are texting me like Munif and Love just had their baby, right? We know that. And actually Pace and Laura now are expecting another child. So those are the kind of things that we just like to relate to each other. I mean, it goes beyond just the business aspect, but kind of the whole networking thing for me. I mean, I've had a number of different businesses over my lifetime. I had an import and export business here in San Francisco. I had a media business here in San Francisco, and now I have a real estate business here in San Francisco that does business actually nationwide. And so it's always been important to network. I would say, particularly in the real estate business, I would say even more so in the real estate business than any business I've ever had before. And in the start of our journey, we saw that it was important to network together with real estate agents. It was important to network together with contractors. It was important to network together with wholesalers. And so that's how we started out, is just by doing that and going to events, going to seminars, going to different events and meeting different people, going to open houses and meeting realtors, going to auctions and meeting investors, like all these different places that we could meet people. And all of that started out very, very organically for us. Talking to people on the phone all the time, right? Like there was times, especially during COVID, I would sit on the couch like from morning till night and just be talking on the phone to people. And my wife would be like, "You've been on the phone all day long." Yeah, I know, but it's like, I enjoy talking to people. I enjoy getting to know people, and I'm building relationships, and those relationships are beneficial, both from a business point of view, but also from just a personal point of view. I know JJ is that type of person, right? He likes to get to know people, and he likes to meet people, and he likes to, yeah. So, I mean, there's something that goes beyond the business aspect of that. It's just, there's something that personally is fulfilling in getting to know people and having those relationships. And JJ and I met through the real estate business, but we're friends as well. Like we connected up when we were in Tampa a couple of months ago for the event that Carl Allen and Abraham Gray and Pace were at, and we were hanging out, and JJ was standing out in the street waiting for an Uber, and I was like, "Hey man, you need a ride." So but it's cool. And then we got a chance to talk more about just personal stuff. He was talking about what happened to him when he was growing up. I mean, we won't go into all those stories, but I'm just saying it's great to get to know people and have those relationships, and also, be able to do business together as well.
Vince, just throw in there.
Yeah.
We're having a picnic down here in June in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
We're going to probably have 300, 400 people at Griffith Park. So if you and Ann aren't going to be in New Jersey with Pace and Abraham, or I think Jamil's got his mentorship the same weekend, but if you guys are available, pop on down for the weekend and we'll, hang out and meet more people. But Tampa was so much fun, and I really appreciate that ride back to the hotel that night. But keep going, brother. Keep going.
Yeah, no problem. We'll try to come. Let's see what the date is. I know at the end of June we need to head back east for some personal stuff, but we'll see if that works out. If that doesn't coincide with that, we definitely would love to come down there. I wanted to come down for the book signing that Pace did, but wasn't able to do that. I was really I was seriously thinking about even just hopping on a plane for the day and getting there in the morning, coming back at night, or coming back the next day. So anyway, all of our journey started very organically, just networking with people. So what did we do? Again, we went to open houses where we would meet realtors, and we would introduce ourselves and get to know them. And oftentimes we would say, "Hey, let's go out for a coffee, let's get to know each other a little bit better." We would go to auctions and meet investors there, and meet buyers there, because at that time we were doing wholesaling, right? So we were doing like wholesaling through what we call agent outreach. So we were going to agents, working on getting properties under contract, and then assigning them to buyers. So we were going to the open houses to meet the realtors. And, of course, we were on the phone as well. We were on the internet looking for houses and things like that. We were getting realtors sending us houses. We were going to auctions and other events to meet the buyers. Just a little secret, like if you're, there's many ways nowadays to find buyers online. There's platforms like PropStream and Privy and all kinds of stuff like that. But at that time, like, we went to auctions and we met, top level buyers, because if you think about an auction, it's an investor who is buying a house for cash at the auction. And if they're buying a house here in the Bay Area, they are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars, buying a house. So that was a great place to network with people, get to know people. We would do stuff like, we would just meet people that we never even knew before, and we're like, "Hey, you want to go out to lunch?" Like, we'll take you out to lunch. And then we would just get to know people. Then we would go to all kinds of meetups. I mentioned my friend Bobby Sharma, who now lives in Miami, Florida, kind of was the king of meetups here in the Bay Area pre-COVID. And he would have meetups like at least once a month in San Francisco and San Jose, in Oakland, all around the Bay Area. So we would always go to those, and those would be like, 50 to 100 plus people, like great connections to make, all kinds of different people. Made connections there with our money lenders, with other investors, with, people that do not only single family, but multifamily. In fact, he just had an event last Saturday, and I met a bunch of new people. And there wasn't a lot of sub-2 students there, but there was like one other sub-2 student. So that's always a community. So those are just a few of the things that you can do to network, right? Then at that point in time, when COVID hit, it became more going into the social media world. I think I heard somebody, I can't remember, one of the guys on the call was saying, like, I didn't even have a Facebook page. Like, I never used Facebook page. I was the same way. Like, I was kind of like actually anti-Facebook, anti-social media. But I realized the power of it once I started doing real estate. And so I got my own Facebook page. I would completely agree with JJ. I would not get a separate Facebook page. I think you just put everything out on your Facebook page. Like, recently my wife and I had an anniversary. We put it out on our Facebook page, like just different stuff. And we put out business stuff and different things on Facebook and Instagram. And yeah, just mix it all in there. Like JJ said, people want to know that you're a real person, like real life, all that kind of stuff. So we started to utilize that, and it was really effective. I mean, I can tell you, like, we would do a post in Facebook, in a Facebook group, like networking with, a post that we would use to network with wholesalers. We would get like 200 or 300 people to react to it. And then we would have all the follow-up going. And then I would be on the phone, like talking to those people. That's how we generated like so many deals at that point in time, all about networking. And I would have these conversations with them. I would get to know them. Like I said, my conversation, I can tell you a little bit, like my phone conversation typically with those people would be probably, the first part would be just a little bit of getting to know each other, a little bit of connecting. I mean, at that point in time, especially when COVID hit, like a complete connection point was COVID, right? Like, what's going on in, you're talking to people all over the country. What's going on in your city? What's going on in your state? Oh, here's what's happening in California. And then they would say, well, I'm from here. And I'm like, oh, I've been there and blah, 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 or whatever. I mean, there's always some connection point that you can find with somebody.
Vince, let me ask you, as you're using Facebook to this extent, and was that Facebook generation of your page a byproduct of being in Sub 2 and Pace 1 you do? Because the Sub 2 community, we have Facebook pages, and we're part of the community from the Facebook group for Sub 2. So when you're using your Facebook page to interact with others, was this you're interacting with the Sub 2 people, or was this people outside of Sub 2, or kind of everybody? Or
yeah, I would say it was at that point in time, right? Sub 2 wasn't as big as it is, so it was probably largely interacting with people outside of Sub 2, right? Because I mean, that's like Sub 2 is like 100 people or something like it at that point in time. It didn't start the real growth curve until like more recently. Yeah, so it was pretty much outside of Sub 2, and then those conversations would be, just a little bit of just getting to know the person, a little bit of connecting, and then I would ask them about what they do, and I would just listen to what they do, and then at the end of that conversation, I would kind of let them know what I do, and like talk about how we could potentially work together. Fast forward till today, and networking is still a really strong point. Networking is something I love to do. Ann and I go to multiple conferences around the country. We were at that conference with JJ in Tampa. We just got back from a conference in Arizona that was put on by Brent Daniels and Todd Toback. Pace and Jamil were guest speakers there. There's about 500 people there. And we went to an event last weekend that was 100 people. We're going to be putting on an event here in Northern California next weekend in May 20th here in San Francisco. We're going to be having a meetup. So any of you who are in the San Francisco Bay Area, hit me up and I'll get you all the details for that. So we continue to network. I continue to talk to people on a daily basis, right? I don't sit on the couch from morning till evening now, just because I have a lot of other things I need to do. But networking is still a really strong part of what we do. And our business. So kind of interesting in real estate, I think we all realize there's a lot of different things you can do, right? And there's a lot of different ways you can go in acquisitions in terms of, going single family, multifamily acquisitions, right? You can go to agent outreach. You can do text or cold call campaigns and get VAs, right? You can do driving for dollars. You can do door knocking. I mean, there's all these different things that people do. So having a little bit of the shiny object syndrome throughout our time here of doing real estate. I mean, there was a time when we, started doing all these different things and texting and hiring VAs and all that stuff. And then I think one day it wasn't really highly effective for us. And I think on one day I was like, you know what? They named the whole method after me. I probably should be doing that method. So I turned everything we were doing around in our business and actually built like systems and teams around the Lanza method. So now in terms of networking, we're still doing networking. I do about 4 Zooms a week, 3 of them within the Sub2 community. So a lot of that is networking. I work with a company called Privy, and we periodically do networking Zooms. I have my own Zoom I do every week called the Wholesalers Mastermind that we do on Thursdays, that we network together with people. And beyond that, we have a whole team of people that we work, and our whole business model right now is centered around networking and JV. Our whole outreach, we don't have cold callers, we don't have texters, we do send out text messages, but we don't do like just cold calling, texting kind of thing. We're not doing any of that. Our whole business model, our whole business right now is centered around networking. And as we network together with people, we reach out to them, let them know all the different ways that we can help them. And yeah, so it's like Lanza method on steroids now.
Tell us a little bit about the Wholesalers Mastermind.
Yeah, so what we do, so my whole thing, I mean, and it is centered a lot around what happens in the Sub2 community, and what PACE is all about, is to lead with value. So we try to lead with value. We have open office hours every day, Monday through Friday. But the Wholesalers Mastermind, we started it to really help people out in just answer their questions, but also take deep dives into specific topics centered around wholesaling. And so every Thursday at 4 p.m. we're on there, myself, and then usually my partner Bob is on there, and usually a lot of times Scott Jenkins will jump on there as well. And the three of us just go deep dive into a specific topic around wholesaling. Like last week, what we did was we talked about how to find the best buyers, and then how to actually skip trace corporations. So we were on there, people were giving us addresses, we were finding the buyers for them, how we were finding like the actual name and phone number, because if you have like SYZ LLC, you don't know who that is, right? So you got to find who that is. Who do you actually need to talk to that owns SYZ LLC, right? So that's just one example. We do all kinds of different stuff. Every week is different. And then we do a whole Q&A. So it's free. And it's just to help people with, giving deep dives into specific topics centered around wholesaling. And also to be there to answer questions. So, yeah. So it's a free Zoom. I probably am not always able to answer everybody's questions throughout the week. So I always tell everybody, come on there and I'll answer any question you have, Cool. So that's like one of the things we do to just.
Well, I'll tell you, I would like to support that, and I need to get on that as well.
Okay.
But I invite you to, whenever you have them on Thursdays, and you have them every Thursday, as each month rolls along, post that as an event to my group.
Okay.
And we can invite the whole group. That's 3,500 people that, hopefully by the end of the year, we might be at 4,000 people, but let's just, my whole thing's about sharing knowledge and building relationships. We have Mr. Dale Poyser. Dale, you are on with Vince Lanza. What's your question?
Yeah, I think he actually answered my question. The first question was, what is his avatar? And the second question was, how is he generating leads, which he says basically networking, right? But I didn't quite pick up on what the avatar was.
Oh, what my avatar is?
Yes.
Yeah, my avatar is leader and connector.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So I lead the Northern California region Sub2 group, because we have regional leaders, and then I have my own company. But anyway, while you're on here, like, let me kind of tell you kind of like how our company works now. When we first started out, it was very much just me and my wife and just doing things real organically. But now, I was explaining how we use social media to connect with people a lot, right? And we do use like you can call it a podcast or, Zoom teaching, different things that we do. But just taking it from the social media side, like, so if let's say we post in whatever group, right? Just some wholesalers group, and we do that with the intention that we want to connect up with wholesalers and we want to talk to them and we want to see how we can work together with them. So for us, a couple of different ways that we can work together is we can, take their dead leads and convert those into creative deals. We can help them dispo a property. We can also help them, if they don't feel comfortable, to close a sale with a motivated seller. So we're putting all that stuff out there as things that we help people with. But then what we do is we push that to somebody that we call a relationship manager. They have a call with a wholesaler, and then we let them know that if they need help, we have a website where they can submit leads to us. And then that also gets pushed either to one of the relationship managers or to the appropriate person, if it's depending on what they want us to help them with. And then from there, then we have a dispo manager, we have people that are closers, we have, all of that within our team. So all of that is just really based on, again, networking though, right? Like that, our outreach is based on networking with wholesalers. And then for me, I'm doing Zooms every week. So, I'm putting it out there like, hey, if you want to network with us, if you want us to help you with any of these things. So we have a way that people can easily sign up for what we're doing and then just receive an email with all the information about all the ways that we can help them and stuff. So
essentially you have a funnel for bringing people in, and then you have a team for different parts of the process, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah. But it didn't start out like that. But what happened was it just got to be overwhelming at some point in time, like to keep up with it, just kind of like me and my wife and organically. So then we were looking at like, okay, what are all the different components of what we're doing? And then, okay, let's build a team around it. So the different components were like the social media kind of initial conversation part of it, where, you post on social media, let's just say, and somebody reacts to your post. Okay, then the next thing that's happening is like you're messaging them and say, hey man, thanks so much. Saw you reacted to my post. Like, I would love to connect up with you. Let's get on a call sometime. Then that would get funneled down to somebody that would actually they'd schedule a call, get on a call with them. And then from that point, okay, what do you need help with? Maybe nothing today, right? That's fine. Like, let's just stay in touch. But maybe, you have a dead lead, or you have a property you need to dispo, or you have a seller that is highly motivated, but you don't feel confident about closing the deal. So all those different things, and we get funneled over to the person that heads up disposition, or the person who does the closing, or or the person that deals with qualifying dead leads. So
okay. And I think that's one thing I struggle with personally is, starting out, which based on what you're saying, it feels like the best way to approach this is to just kind of learn everything in the process, right? And as you scale, then you start to delegate to different people that can take on different tasks. Would you agree?
Because I would agree. I don't know if everybody agree. I would agree, right? Like I've oftentimes said, like, I want to do it all so that I know what it takes to do it. I know what it entails to do it, right? So that's why at one point in time, like, we were doing the posts, we were doing the communication with people on social media, we were doing the acquisition and talking to sellers, we were doing the disposition and talking to buyers, right? We were doing all of it, right? Yeah. So some people will say, oh, just get on a team and specialize in what you specialize in. So it's, I guess, it's just what your philosophy is or what you think's best. My philosophy is like, do it so that you know how to do it and you know what it takes to do it. And that way, when you have somebody else that's doing it, it's like you're coming from a position of knowledge of what it entails to do that, right?
Makes sense. Yep.
So, to me, it's the kind of thing is like, how can, I do a lot of teaching nowadays, right? I do some teaching in sub 2. I do those Zooms, right? I do like 3 or 4 Zooms that are teaching Zooms every week. And it's like, how can I teach you something that I've never done?
Right.
I mean, that doesn't make sense to me. Like, I can't teach you if I haven't. I guess you can, right? But to me, it's like the power comes in the experience and the knowledge. That's how I'm able to teach it. I'm able to teach it because I took action, did stuff, ran into obstacles and problems, figured out how to do stuff, when I didn't know what I was doing, all that, and now I'm able to teach others. And now hopefully I'm also able to help others from making some of the mistakes that I made along the way. So,
right. Yep. Makes sense. Cool.
Yeah.
It's a lot to learn, but yep.
Yeah,
I think it's a good approach.
Yeah, I mean, you can I started in wholesaling, and I think that's a good place to start because the acquisition and disposition of wholesaling is a lot simpler to wrap your brain around,
Okay.
I mean, even if you're wholesaling creative deals, right? Because you can get people that can help you, like myself, right? Like people send me creative deals and are like, "Hey, can you take a look at this for me?" And and let me know, does this make sense, or what am I looking at here that's wrong, or that I could change. So, I try to help out as much as I can with that kind of stuff.
Vince, I got that house I'm working on down here. We're delayed a little bit with the smart home aspect, but looking forward to having you and Ann over to the house. And of course, we will have an appropriate gathering to welcome Vincent and Lanza to Southern California. Dale had a question, and you did address as far as using networking for your business and to gather leads and such. But part of his question was, do VAs, and something I'm looking into as well, do VAs play a role anywhere in your business?
Yeah, they do. Where VAs play a role in our business is one. There's right now we have 2 VAs working for us, and we probably will have maybe 1 or 2 more in the future. But where they play a role in our business right now is in the social media aspect of like filtering through the leads that come in through social media, and then assigning those leads to and remember, I was telling you part of the process. So in the Lanza method, again, I'll try to make this as simple as possible. But it really at the core of it, it's like putting posts in Facebook. Okay, so like what kind of posts? Like literally sometimes a post that could be like, "Hey, wholesalers, what market are you in?" Just something simple that people will react to. Okay, now 100 people react to that post, right? So then our VA will go in, start a communication with them with the end goal of trying to get them on a phone call with myself. Now, not so much myself, but at that time myself, or one of the people that we call relationship managers, which will be the first contact with us. So that's one thing. We have a VA that sort of looks over all the social media stuff. And then the other thing we have a VA that we're just bringing on board for right now is what we're calling like a lead qualifier. So one of the things that happens is, right, you get a lot of leads, and some of them are good and some of them are garbage, to just be honest about it. So, if our guys are all day trying to qualify the leads, at some point in time, they get a little bit bogged down. So we're hiring a VA. We're going to train them, just basically how to comp and do some basic underwriting so they can see like, hey, it's a good lead. Like we should follow up on this, because once we follow up on something, we're going to spend time and energy on it, right? If we're dispoing it, like it's going to take us time and energy to get it out there, to do our marketing, to communicate with buyers. If we're trying to close a deal, we have to get one of our closers on the phone and talk to the seller. And as we all know, it may not happen on the first phone call. So that's going to take some time. If we're doing a dead lead, same thing. We're going to have to get on the phone with the seller, find out like, hey, we understand that you want a higher price for your home. We're able to do that. But are you open to terms? Like that's how we work. We can give you the money you want for your home if we can work out the appropriate terms. So anyway, the other VA that we're going to get is sort of qualifying those leads. Which ones should we push to the people on our team to take the time to actually put into working on that particular lead? So yeah, that's right now. That's it. I think in the future, the other VA we've talked about getting is somebody to help our dispo manager to do some of the just stuff that he does in terms of posting properties in different platforms that we have and that kind of thing.
Now when it comes to acquiring VAs, is there a screening process you use? I mean, I'm looking at it as well. I'm sure a lot of the newer students are considering VAs. Have you gone to a VA service? Did you just go to Fiverr? I think there's one PHP Help or something.
Yeah.
What's your vehicle for finding and screening VAs? I mean, I would imagine they're using your Facebook page, right, to respond.
You're gonna love my answer. I'm gonna say networking.
There you go.
So basically what's happened is like one of the VAs is in Nicaragua, right? And we just, one of the other people who's in sub 2 had connected up with her, and then we found out about her, and then now she's also working with us. And the other one is again another sub 2 student. We decided for the VA for doing the lead qualifier that we wanted to get somebody in Mexico. And we wanted to get a college student, because it's going to be somebody that has to have some aptitude towards figures and analyzation and stuff, right? I mean, qualifying a lead, it takes a little bit of analytical skill. So yeah, we connected up with another sub 2 student who had some connections, and then we just advertised, and then we had a number of different college students that applied for the position, and then we interviewed them and then decided which one to hire. So that's my answer, networking.
Cool. Justin Kramer, you are on with Vincent Lanza. What's your question?
Hey, Vincent. So
Hey,
first
Jeff.
of all, hey, thank you so much for doing what you do, and for being such a giver and showing us all how you do this. So I also was in music. In fact, I have my drumsticks right here.
You're a drummer. Yeah, we should jam sometime.
Hey,
I play bass. I play bass and guitar. We were talking about we need to have a sub 2 band.
We should have a sub 2. You know what? Bands are so difficult though, man. It's so rough. I played in a band for a little while, and it was fun, but you got everybody's egos and
yeah. Well, we could do a sub 2 jam, right?
Yeah, that'd be amazing. That would be amazing. That would have to go right on Instagram immediately. So very cool. But I was just curious. So your Thursday meetup, is that posted on the sub 2 calendar on Thursdays? Or is that
it isn't on the sub 2 calendar because it's actually open to everybody. But okay. I usually put it in the events section of the sub 2 Facebook page.
Okay.
So it's not, I do other stuff that's exclusively sub 2, like I do the Daily Gal on Friday mornings with Dustin Kircher, and I do Finding Buyers with Uncle Lanza and Joe Fago also on Thursdays. But this one, it's not exclusive to sub 2 students. It's open to anybody. So, but the best, I'm going to pop some stuff in here, at some point in time. And there's a link where I'll send you the link to that. And then what we do is we just mail you out an invitation for it. So
that'd be great.
So just sign up for that. And then you'll just get an email that'll have an invitation with a link on it. And then we also put out what the topic is. So you kind of know, if it's something you're super interested in, because maybe you can't make every week, but hey, the last topic we did, which was skip tracing corporate LLCs, was something that was generated because a lot of people were asking us for it. Mm-hmm. So, we had 40 or 50 people on that one.
Yeah, that's great. And I'm doing just like you guys. I'm doing all of this organically right now.
Yeah.
A lot of the work is being done by me. A lot of the acquisitions, the disposition, the underwriting, everything is being done by me right now. I'm actually getting to a point where I'm going to be ready to probably hire a VA. So you answered that question too, which is how, your sort of your qualification process. But so that was really helpful. But I'm going to have a ton of questions, and I would love to be able to bring some of those to you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, another thing that we do is we do a daily open office hours from Monday through Friday at 8:30 a.m. So it's a platform where you can come and just bring any questions to me and the team. So all of that we're happy to help with. And another thing is, kind of what we've created is, and what we're continuing to create is something where maybe somebody like yourself that gets hung up on hey, I got a great deal, but I'm having problems dispoing it. Or, I got this super motivated seller, but I just can't bring it to closing, so just, that's what we're there for. It's kind of hold your hand. I don't mean that in any kind of negative way, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just walk alongside you is a better way to say it. And just to, to offer holes, because you're working hard, you're doing everything. But, for you right now as a solo entrepreneur, there's going to be holes. So that's why we kind of build a team like, okay, let us help you fill those holes. I started exactly where you're at, right? Just one person doing everything, right? And then it's like at some point in time, I was like, this is going to drive me crazy unless I get some other people to help me, right?
Yeah.
And I personally have a really hard time delegating stuff. Like, I think probably even to this day, I mean, I've gotten a lot better about it because if I don't, like, my brain will explode.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I had to really learn how to delegate and trust others too. Like,
I'm the exact same way. So first of all, same way as you, I want to understand everything, the different facets, so I know how to train someone, so I know what it takes to do that. I think that's important on a certain level. Everybody's kind of got their own, definition of what you should do and how you should do it, right? You ask 10 different people, you're going to get 10 different answers. But I take after my mom in that way. She has her own business and she was doing everything. And it wasn't until finally, like, I think it was my aunt or somebody was like, Jill, you need to hire people. You need to stop trying to do all of this yourself. You're going to drive yourself crazy, or you're going to end up in the grave, have a heart attack, so. Yeah. But it was the same thing. It was kind of hard to let go of the responsibilities because, again, nobody's going to care as much as you care about your business, right? So anyway, I appreciate it. A lot.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, the flip side of that is that you're never going to grow your business if you don't do that, right? So, I mean, that's kind of the point I had to come to is like,
that's right.
I understand that, but my business will never grow if it's completely dependent on me. So I have people that I can work with and trust that they're going to, do things. And so
plus that's when it gets fun too, right?
Yeah, it gets fun because then you become more of a leader and a manager, right? And that's a whole different skill set, So but I'm getting there. I'm letting it go.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you.
We have Miss Alima Dorsey. Alima, you're on with Vince Lanza. What's your question?
Mr. Lanza, thank you so much for being here.
Of course.
So, a couple different things. I was a music major at Florida State, an opera major, so it's really cool to be around like fellow musicians.
Absolutely.
It's really awesome. The second thing is I've been going to your meetup on Thursdays. I've really been enjoying the last two that you had of how to find cash buyers. Super awesome. I just joined your office hours last night, so that was really cool. So I can't wait to get into that. My question is, how soon should we get a VA? Because I just started making phone calls and I don't like it. I mean, I'm not bad at it, but I do feel like it would be better if someone else made the calls for me and then I kind of, find the good leads. But how soon do you think we should do that? I just got into Sub 2 a month ago. Yeah. So I haven't even been in here that long. So is it too soon for me to be thinking of a VA currently?
Well, I would say when people are asking me, and I appreciate the question, that it's kind of all dependent on you. Like, it's kind of dependent on like where you're at financially. Are you okay with investing in that? Because, it's going to be something where you're going to have to commit to it for a period of time, right? So, I mean, if you're committed to like hiring one VA and you're saying like, I'll do that for like 6 months and let me see how that goes, and I'm going to do my best to make this work and make it fly, then I would say, I mean, the other thing is like, I don't know how much you should do something that you really don't like doing, right? And that's like one of the reasons why you begin to assign tasks out to VAs and that. So if you're saying like, I really don't like cold calling, like, okay, you've done it a little bit or whatever, and it's like, this is not my thing. And I would agree with you, like, that's totally not my thing. Like, I would myself in a heartbeat would be like, I do not want to cold call. If that's the road I'm going down, I'm going to hire a VA. And then just realize the other thing that I think is really important with VAs is realize that it's not like just hand this off to the person and expect them to do it. Like, literally, there are people that get on calls with their VAs like every day. We get on calls with our VAs every week. But you should have that relationship of like, don't just expect like, oh, I'm going to ask my VA to do this and I'm not going to communicate with them. You need to communicate with them. You need to begin to build the culture of what you ultimately want your company to be. You need to talk about what is working, what's not working, and doing some training there, right? So, yeah,
Absolutely.
but from what you're telling me, if I was in your shoes and you're okay with making that financial commitment, which is, typically with VAs is not that great, because VAs work at a lesser hourly rate. Yeah, I'd do it just because, like, why be miserable doing something you hate doing?
I mean, I absolutely love talking to people. I mean, I love it.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I love
Yeah.
talking to people. I just don't like that aspect of it because
Yeah.
it can be really difficult, right?
Yeah.
It can be like it's
But
just
what
because at that stage of the game, people can be really rude and to you sometimes. Like even when we were texting, like people would just be really rude. And I'm the kind of person where that would affect me, like hard for me to just let that roll off my back. So,
I got an
that's
FU the other day. Someone texted that to me. I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, I'm trying to help you out, but absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
One
But
thing,
that people are just people can tend to be really rude and cruel. So yeah.
I love what you said though, and then I'll get off the phone. But I love what you said about hiring a college student. I never, ever, ever thought about that. But you had mentioned that, and I think that's a great way to go. So I actually might venture off into that arena a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, we approach it like an internship, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And what ended up happening when we did, so we put out an application process, and then we had many people apply, and the person that we ultimately hired was interested in real estate but had no experience in it. Has an uncle, they're in Mexico at a university in Mexico right now, but they have an uncle that is a real estate investor in Miami. And when I talked to him in an interview, he's like, hey, my uncle's my hero. Like, that's what I want to do. And I'm like, and I'm talking to him like, do you know what a comp is? And it's like, he knows nothing, right? Like literally square 10, but he has the interest to really learn. And he's a college student. So he's, has a certain degree of intelligence. And he's a college student in finance, so he's already working with numbers and that kind of stuff, just not in the real estate world. So yeah, and then we just approach it like a paid internship, and I'm going to say we're paying him like $400 a month.
I was just about to ask you that. What would be a good, okay, $400 a month. Okay, great.
Month, yeah.
That's actually not bad because I feel like a VA is way more
Yeah.
expensive if you go to other places.
Yeah, that's not bad, right? Like a paid internship, like you're learning.
Yeah.
But I mean, part of that is, I think for them, part of that is, that it's an internship, so they're getting some work experience, and also they're going to be in an environment where they're going to learn. Which is why I was saying, like, because like right now we're onboarding that person, we're doing like a whole training, like a curriculum for them, right?
Oh, wow.
Of onboarding. So I mean, to the degree that you would do that, right? You would have some kind of training going on for them. You'd have some ongoing connection, like at least once a week, meeting up and getting feedback about what's working, what's not working. And we do that on a weekly basis. We have our whole team. I mean, probably on a daily basis, I'm talking to different people on our team, but on a weekly basis, we have a whole team meeting and we go over all the things. And a lot of times we're talking about how can we improve what we're doing, right? Where are we falling short and how can we make it better?
Absolutely. And one last thing before I go, because I'm actually getting ready to go meet an agent for lunch, which is I'm so nervous about. This is my first time. So
no.
interesting.
It's just people. It's just, it's all good,
Absolutely. But one thing I do love about what you're doing is I actually spoke to one of your guys last night, Jeff, and I had a potential deal today that I actually needed someone to talk to because I got him up to a certain point, but I wanted to pass the lead off to someone else so they could possibly close it. Yeah. And I love that you actually have that as one of your services where we could send a deal your way and then you can kind of help us close it. So I definitely want to thank you for that. And I will be using that in the future for sure.
Awesome. Yeah. What she's talking about, it's all there. If you click on that lanzapartners.com/Vincent, like it's the open office hours, it's a wholesalers mastermind. It's how you can submit deals for us to work with you on, to JV with you on. So yeah, awesome. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Nice meeting you.
Thank you. You too.
Vince, looks like we have a question in the chat. We tried to bring the person on, but the question again, I think you just talked about this with Alima. The individual's question was, how can I join your team? So
right.
If someone's watching right now on YouTube,
yeah,
how would they, if they wanted to join your team, is that actually working with you, or is that getting on to learn from one of your calls?
Yeah. So yeah, we are constantly expanding our team. But the best way to connect up with us again is, and I put this in the chat, was the lanzapartners.com/Vincent. And that way you get an initial connection with us. You get a like an onboarding call. From there, you can kind of let us know what you're doing and what you're working on. We also have something that is called an affiliate program. And so basically what we do is, and I won't go too deep into the weeds in this. I'll just make it as simple as possible. We basically pay you money for connecting us up. We basically pay you money for helping us to network with other people. And if you want to know more about that, just reach out to us. There is a way that you can apply to that as well. And I'm pretty sure in that email we explain it, but if not, then you just book a call with us and we can let you know more about it. Yeah. So that's the first point. Then if you want to know more about how to work with our team, about the affiliate program, all that kind of stuff. The affiliate program is kind of cool because you apply for it and literally like we pay you money for helping us to network with other people. It's a great program. And the other thing that's really good about it is that I do the onboarding personally, and also I do a call with all the affiliates, like an exclusive call for just only the affiliates once a month. So anyway, so start at that point though, lanzapartners.com/Vincent.
So it looks like we've wrapped up our questions for now. We're going to get to the breakout room shortly. And again, of course, your topic today was about, network like a rock star, which falls right into my next question, or my last question. My group's a networking group, and I'm always trying to, point out the importance, emphasizing the importance of networking for whether it be the new investor who's new to an educational program, or maybe an experienced investor who's coming into one of these social media educational programs, such as Sub2. A lot of people think they can just do real estate themselves. And I always say it's a people business. We need to build a team around us, build our team before we need it. Mm-hmm. I always say, from your standpoint, as a successful investor and someone who's highly respected within Sub2, what is the importance for the new or experienced investor to not only network, but to possibly join a group, say like mine, to build their visibility, to build their network, in order to build their business?
Yeah, I mean, to me, like, people ask me what's my, number one marketing strategy. I said networking. You said, how do I find VAs? I said networking. So yeah, I think it's absolutely essential. And then, you want to jump in to these groups, right? Like today's group. I mean, it's actually, in a way, a lot of times, like, right, you can be on calls where there's 100 or 200 people, right? And you're just like another face in the crowd. Like today, actually, a lot of times I like the intimate, smaller calls, because like we actually get to talk, we actually get to know each other. We're going to go into breakout rooms, right? And so I mean, I think that's great, right? That's what you want to do, right? You want to be on these kind of calls where you can, get to know people. JJ gives everybody the chance to introduce themselves, all these things. So yeah, absolutely essential. And then the other thing that comes to my mind is just, you don't initially have to network and build your team by like hiring people or actually having a company, right? I mean, we were just talking about that with Justin, but you can build your team. What is your team? Initially, your team is like, realtors that you work with, right? And they have their own business and you have your own business, but they're part of your team. Title companies that you work with, they have their own business and you have your own business, but they're part of your team. Real estate attorneys that you work with, they have their own business and you have your own business, but they're part of your team. Contractors have their own business. So what I'm saying is you're networking together with all people that have their own businesses, right? And you're hiring them on a contract basis, depending on the project that you're working with them on, or you're working with a realtor and they're getting a commission, whatever that is. But you build this team around you of people, to start with, so that you have all these resources at your disposal. And that's like, even before you like build your own company and you're just, like I was telling Justin, a solo entrepreneur and all that, you just start building your team. Like, Alima, right, is going out right now to meet a real estate agent. She's building her team. She's building relationships. She's networking. So you want to have all those, resources around you from the very beginning, right? So that when you need a real estate attorney, like you got somebody that knows you, he's on your team, right? And you got a question, you can reach out to them, right? You want to have a title company that knows how to do wholesale deals, for instance, right? That understands and works with you and can answer your questions when you have questions about contracts or different things. So yeah, so it's all about networking within groups like what JJ has going is great, right? You get to meet other people, ultimately maybe work together with some of the people that are on these calls in the future, and also just see what resources are out there, right? Like there may be people that come on these calls that are real estate agents that you might work with, or they might be private money lenders that at some point in time you might want to work with them, or whatever they do, right? So you're just kind of building that network of people. I mean, there's a point in time where we didn't really do any projects where we need private money lenders, but then there was a point in time in 2022 where we needed a lot of private money lenders because we had a lot of projects we were working on and needed money. And we had built up a network of friends and people that we knew. And so when the time came, we were able to present the projects to them. And that network had already been built up ahead of time, but it was all done through connections. And at least up until this point in time, all the private money lenders we have are people that we had relationships with. So that when we talked to them, of course, we presented the project, but they knew us, we knew them. There was a comfort level there. So they felt comfortable investing in the projects that we were doing.
Yeah, the comfort is huge. And that's because rapport gets built and the relationship is built. So Vince, as we close up, what if people want to follow up with you? Is it Instagram, Snapchat, MySpace? Here's your Facebook page.
That's really me.
So people can contact you on Facebook, and you're in the Bay Area. Here's a picture of you, me, and Chad Glover there at one of the recent events.
I think that must have been in Tampa.
Yeah, or Tampa, or could have been Phoenix at the Mastermind, but I think it was Tampa.
Yeah.
And then I've got your Instagram here. Here's your Instagram, which is Vincent Douglas _
Yeah, there's me doing a podcast I did Pace's creative finance program with him a couple of weeks ago. That was fun.
Here's you and your lovely wife, Anne. She's fantastic.
Yeah, there she is.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, I want to, thank you so much for being on today. If you guys want to reach me, I'd be jjazizian.com. You can see flyers of all the upcoming guest speakers. There's a link to the YouTube channel with recordings of the prior guest speakers. And, stay tuned for more on Flipside with JJ. We'll have more guest speakers from across the country, including more Sub-2 rock stars. And if you're on the call right now, hang on. We're going to go to breakout rooms for a bit. And Vince, I want to thank you again for being on. Really appreciate you. Always good to see you.
Yeah, you too.
And if we can get you down here for June 24th, it gets the end of the month. It might not go at your schedule, but we'll find a way to get you down here sooner than later and
definitely
have a gathering. So on behalf of Vince and myself, Vince, I guess we'll tell them, goodbye. See you guys later.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
See y'all soon.